Welcome to the Weekend Extra. We're here with Pastor Jeff. We're on our third week of a series called
Here and Now.
Here and Now.
Yeah.
And tonight we talked about
gathering together, just coming to church, and how that's something that God would look and say, put that high on your priority list. Is important to our relationships with each other and our relationships with God. And we just kind of dug into that a little bit, how big of an issue that is in our spiritual journey.
Yeah, I think there's a new level of our community having a challenge with online services.
Yeah.
You kind of hit the nail on the head tonight, because sometimes, let's be honest, it's a little easier just to get on our phones, stay in bed, honestly, in the hot tub sometimes.
The hot tub. Wow, you're really personally sharing
sharing here. So, yes, he spoke to my heart tonight, Pastor. So, yeah, I think that hit a nail on the head, that our culture, we have to deal with that sometimes.
Well, I think our culture right now, the most valuable thing we have is time.
Yeah.
So it used to be money. It used to be really, really hard to help people learn to give and invest financially, and now it's time. I'd rather give you money than give you my time.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It really is fine. Like it's fine in a lot of areas of life. It's not that big of a deal. That culture's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
But like we talked this weekend, what breaks down is our relationships. Like when you're in the hot tub, and even though you're getting like the information, you're not around everybody.
Exactly.
So it's the lobby visit, and honestly, like you ever watch a play on video? Like it doesn't translate, or a concert on video.
Yes,
it's just not the same as being there.
Yeah,
and so even the way that the teaching feels or the music feels, it's just different when you're live and in person. And so that's the thing. And it's not about coming to church every week. We were talking earlier, like you and I kind of grew up that way,
right? Almost a legalistic type. If we don't show up every time the doors open, then there's something wrong with our spirituality.
Yeah, and your commitment to Christ was gauged by your commitment to attend church functions.
Right.
So my family was Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night Bible study, and then like our activities every New Year's Eve and things like that was always with the church.
Us too, yeah.
Yeah. And if you weren't there, people would be like,
what's wrong?
What's wrong?
We need to call them. Something happened.
Yeah,
salvation's gone.
Yeah. So I don't want us to return to that.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that's what we're talking about at all. But we've almost swung the other way, where it's kind of like I'll get there if I get there, and our relationships break down and our discipleship breaks down, and it becomes a little bit of a consumer mindset. Like if I want it and need it, I'll make a point to go.
Yeah, I think a good prayer that I don't even know where I heard it was show up and ask the Lord to bring somebody to you that might need a word of encouragement or something. Just look outside yourself. It's not about you. Like you always say, it's about the world. It's about the body of Christ, and just having an ear to hear, I think is...
Yeah, it's huge. We actually, when you look at the scriptures, we were looking at like Romans 12 this weekend, you don't go to church for yourself.
Yeah.
You go to church for the church. So you don't go to receive as much as you go to give. So the sermon didn't feed me, or the music wasn't good enough, or that's really a consumer mindset. And when you look at the scriptures, sermons are very appropriate. Music is very appropriate, but it's really the gathering of the body. And so it's who I'm investing in, who I'm praying with, all those kind of things. And we were talking about, you led worship this weekend, and we're talking about, even music. You can listen to a worship song and you can gauge it by its quality of performance.
Right.
You can look and say, well, it filled me up, or it did something for me. And we would look and say, that's actually not the posture of worship, right? Yeah. So we would look at that. You were talking about you had a cancer that you went through, and you have scans and stuff this week, and how much the worship was different for you, the one song we were singing.
I've got my 1 year bookmark. It's a big deal. They check full body scan. There's shots involved. There's different things. And we were singing a song about, I can't remember the name. It's basically talking about fear has no place. Basically, Jesus is right here, and he's done it all on Calvary,
Yeah.
you know, and he's with me, and I don't have to fear. And that spoke to my heart tonight, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And it reminds you, it's not about that you feel warm and fuzzy. It
Right.
reminds you of a truth.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and
right.
then when you sing that, you're proclaiming that truth back to Christ. You're saying, this is true about you, and I'm going to kind of rest in that, you know, this week.
Because he's never changing. We're changing all the time, our emotions, and that hits it right on the head. It brings us back to where we need to be. Yep.
Yeah, so that, you know, I think that's why we gather. Like if we gather with a mindset of what's in it for me, that's not at all what the scripture's talking about. But when I gather to say, I want to hear from the Lord, I want to respond to the Lord, I want to give my life to the people around me. That's why we go to church. And when we don't, you know, the stat right now is the average family is once every 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
And so where they physically attend once every 6 weeks, and my heart is like we just won't know each other. We won't love each other. We won't grow the way that we need to grow. We can't disciple our children with each other.
Can I share what happened tonight?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Sure.
It was just like an exclamation on the whole, what you said tonight. I got a text from my son. My grandson received Jesus tonight, and they give him a little paper just to remember it, and signed it, his name, and underneath his name, who helped him was his daughter.
Yeah, Naomi. Yeah.
That was cool.
It's very cool. And she's 14.
Yeah.
And she comes every Saturday night to serve.
Yeah.
She goes to youth group and to church on Sunday, but she makes it a priority just to come and serve. You know?
And she was part of the change in my grandson's life.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wow.
Love it.
I love it too. That's what it's about. So, anything else you want to say, or?
Well, I just love that, like that whole story, like your son and his wife making it such a priority to come to church, to bring their kids, get them involved, put them in an environment where volunteers. I just love like that whole thing right there.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I care about.
Yeah.
I don't really care that attendance was 5 people higher because Ben's family was here this weekend.
Right.
I care that what happened in that little guy's life, you know. And so being in the room, it just does that differently. It's very, very cool. Love it.
Yes, it is. Well, it's been a special night for me. My grandson just let Jesus in his heart. Doesn't get better than that. Thank you, Pastor Jeff. Everybody have a great week.